I do want to ask you one question, which has always been an issue that we've seen amongst our EWA leaders. They are outstanding, and many of them are perfectionists. In fact, they're almost perfect. And yet for some of them, that doesn't get them the CEO role. They may be COO, but they get passed over for CEO. Can you address that phenomenon?
Oh, absolutely, Lorraine. And you really tagged it, because perfectionism, I would say, is the most challenging and in a way the most toxic of the habits or behaviors at a senior level when you're aspiring to that C-suite position. And in my experience, when I have seen women who are enormously talented, who have either derailed or not been chosen for a position that you would expect they would be chosen for, it is often because they are viewed as a perfectionist. And perfectionists create a lot of stress. And if you're in a very high position, the stress you create goes out to a bigger circle. So I've seen that often. And it's really important to recognize that organizations often organizations tend to reward and promote women based on precision and correctness, where they tend to reward and promote men based on being perceived of as visionaries, having a great network, etc. So that really encourages women in this perfectionism, but then it gets in their way at senior levels.
This is such a critical point, because our mission is to get at least 250 women into the Fortune 500 CEO list. And so for women who are almost there, this is such critical information. So you have to show your fallibility. You have to show, how do you do that, Sally?
Well, you do that by really, I think, for one thing, prioritizing. I had an interesting thing in London. I was talking about perfectionism and using a sort of 80, 90, 100 rubric to decide, does this need to be done 100%? Does it need to be done 80%? And I tossed off a little comment and said, probably if you're a surgeon, it needs to be 100%. A woman came up to me afterwards and said, I'm the chief of surgeons at the Royal Ophthalmology Clinic down the road, and I can tell you that perfectionistic surgeons have the worst results. They terrify their teams. Teams don't make good decisions, and they're not flexible enough to take in new information. She said, so that doesn't apply there. So I think it's something we all need to think about. If we're perfectionists, we need to think, first of all, about the stress we're creating for ourselves and for the people around us, and have an awareness of that. And we also need to be able to do an assessment on everything of how completely it needs to be done, so that we learn to prioritize. And this creates less stress for others.